After playing a few hours of Starfield on stream and off stream, I feel like I'm ready to give you my impressions about the game. No, I'm not doing a review of Starfield. I'm far from finishing it. I feel like Starfield's going to be one of these casual games for me where I come back to for like maybe a few minutes or an hour or two, play a little bit, and then just go off and do whatever else I was doing with my day out of boredom. But overall, I would say that Starfield is not necessarily a bad game, but it's far from a great game. There are far worse games that have come out this year than Starfield. But this game has been in development for, I think, 7 years by Bethesda. Meanwhile, a lot of us Elder Scrolls fans have been patiently waiting for Elder Scrolls 6. So we've had to sit back and let Bethesda make this game instead. And for the record, I do admire when a studio decides to go with a new IP instead of the same successful IPs in the past, like Skyrim, or Elder Scrolls, Fallout, etc. But this basically feels like Fallout in space with some additional mechanics such as the spaceships. Those feel okay. It reminds me a lot of the old TIE Fighter X-Wing games from back in the day. A space mechanic that has been used time and time again in various other games. It's not too bad. The space combat's okay. It's not too difficult. I do like the fact that you have spaceship customization. A lot of people really enjoy that. The fighting mechanics, gunplay, even melee, seems to be better in Starfield than Fallout, so that's definitely an improvement. There's a character customization for your main character, the protagonist, and a few options to choose from here and there. And I think that the customization, it's pretty decent. The different menus, I'm not the biggest fan of these menus. I don't know, I feel like Bethesda could have done a better job with this, or maybe they couldn't. But there's just something that feels clunky about this whole setup. You know, the 4 squares, you go up here to the star map, or you go down here to your inventory. And I think that this could have been tweaked a little bit better. Now the stats, the upgrades you can get with your skill points, so that's okay. I'm still working on that, obviously. I'm nowhere near maxing out my character. So it's just one of those games I'm going to continue to play here and there. And hopefully something will come of it. I think the problem that a lot of people are having with Starfield, myself included, is unlike previous Bethesda games like Skyrim, for example, it doesn't pull you in as quickly. Like in Skyrim, you're about to get your head chopped off for a crime you didn't commit, you're at the wrong place, wrong time, and all of a sudden a big giant dragon shows up and starts tearing up the town, and you're having to escape. Meanwhile, in Starfield, you're a miner, and some dude shows up to get this artifact that you found, and pirates show up. It's just not as exciting as a big, mean, evil dragon destroying a town and wrecking fools left and right while you're trying not to get burned alive. I don't have a problem with slow burn. That's why I love Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. There has to be hooks in place that keep you wanting to watch a show like Andor, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, or various other video games out there that are similar, that, you know, just take their time and you have to enjoy the game, make the most out of the game because there's great characters, an amazing story. I don't feel that way with Starfield. I think the story is okay. It's nothing special so far. The characters that I've interacted with, I'm just not attached to these characters the way I am with previous games, specifically Skyrim characters or even Fallout characters. And that's another thing. I know that they've made some improvements when it comes to the main characters you interact with, but facially, they do feel outdated compared to other AAA games that are coming out with NPCs that look way better. And don't get me started about the run-of-the-mill, like, average NPC in, like, towns and cities, settlements in Starfield. They look awful. And there are times when you'll be walking around New Atlantis or other parts of the game, and all of a sudden, the NPCs would stop moving. They would just stand still. And you're just wondering, like, what's going on here? Why are they all just not moving? And then you'll move a little bit up, and then all of a sudden, they'll start moving again. This game is far from perfect. It absolutely has issues and bugs. My game has crashed at least once or twice now. I've experienced a few issues while playing this game on stream and off stream. Nothing major, but at the same time, it's a typical Bethesda game. There are things I enjoy about it, but there's also things that I think that they could have done a better job with. There's several planets and star systems for you to explore. That part is cool. But there's limitations when it comes to landing on certain planets. You can only go like a certain amount of feet away from your starship, and then invisible barriers pop up and force you back to your ship. It's ridiculous. It's not like No Man's Sky. So yeah, a lot of people have compared Starfield with No Man's Sky, and there are similarities to these two games. There's also differences, but if you want a fully fledged space exploration game that you can just get lost in, then I would highly recommend No Man's Sky, especially with all the improvements and updates they've made to No Man's Sky over the years. It has come a long ways since it launched back in the day. I think the best appeal of Starfield is also that explore factor, just going off and doing your own thing and checking out planets and fighting pirates, or if you just want to be brutal and just not give a care about anything, just become a bad guy, become a heel, become an antagonist, and get in trouble with the UC and other factions. I guess it's that freedom that is what makes Starfield more enjoyable than sticking to the main story, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to eventually finish the main story of Starfield, but I don't feel the same desire to find out what happens next with the characters of Constellation or the artifacts, as I did with the Dragonborn story arc in Skyrim. I do like the voice acting. I do think that they hired some really good voice actors for these characters. And I do like Sarah Morgan for the most part. She's probably my favorite companion easily. But that might be because I just don't really want to be bothered with forming any sort of bond or relationship with any of the other potential followers, companions that you have in the game. It feels like the bog standard interaction you'd get with other companions and followers from Fallout, Skyrim, typical Bethesda. It's not exactly like they're reinventing the wheel here. And for the record, if you're a fellow Skyrim Fallout fan like I am, you're going to enjoy playing Starfield. Plus, it is available for free on Game Pass. And if you have Game Pass on Xbox, on the Series X, you definitely want to check it out, especially if you check those other boxes. You want a space game to explore, you're also a fan of Fallout and Elder Scrolls Skyrim, and looking for something to play, Starfield might be right up your alley. But I just don't feel like it's one of these games that I'm going to be hardcore playing, because I haven't been. I'll jump into it maybe for an hour or two just to run around to various planets and attempt to try to do some missions, but then kind of get bored and just wander off. I think that in the long run, the real saving grace for Starfield is going to be the mods. And over the past few weeks, there's already been some improvements made via mods on PC. I look forward to those mods making their way over to the Xbox Series X, similar to mods for Skyrim and Fallout 4 on the Xbox. But at the same time, it's also unfortunate that a game that took 7 years of development by Bethesda launches with some issues that are already being improved upon and fixed by the modding community. So I think that's what I'm really looking forward to the most when it comes to the future of Starfield, is not what Bethesda has to offer this game going forward, but what the modders of Starfield will be making for the game. Not just improvements, but also a lot of other features and content that wasn't included with the vanilla version of Starfield. So I do think this is going to go the same way as Skyrim and Fallout with the mod communities there. It will survive. It will continue to grow, but that's going to be a big thanks to the modding community and not so much to Bethesda themselves. But overall, once again, I do not consider Starfield to be a horrible game. In fact, I think it's launched with less bugs and issues than some previous Bethesda games, especially better off than Fallout 76. but at the same time, it is a single-player game. I kind of wish it was at least co-op with like 2 to 4 players to explore Starfield with, but maybe the modding community will create mods that allow you to at least play like 2-player or 4-player with some friends. There are a few other games that have come out this year, I think, that are more deserving of Game of the Year. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, a few others as well. But at the same time, Starfield is far from the worst game that has come out. I'm looking at you, Gollum. It's a mid game. It's not great. It's not bad. But at the same time, it has potential to be better. Thanks in huge part to what the modding community is already doing with Starfield and what they will do throughout the Starfield lifespan for many months and years to come. Your thoughts, views, and opinions regarding Starfield. As always, welcome below in the comments section.